This place is both the land where the extraterritorial evil clan strongman suppressed the Baxia Dragon King, and the place where Baxia, in turn, suppressed the strongman of the extraterritorial evil clan. You two are indeed the strongest. Xiao Yan's eyes grew intense as he caught a chilling sense of fear rising from the blood-red cloak. The power of that level clearly belonged to a strategically significant figure from the extraterritorial evil clan. But shortly afterward, his gaze dropped. He also sensed an extremely terrifying fluctuation from the green chains binding the blood-red cloak. This kind of fluctuation was familiar to Xiao Yan. The green chains were imbued with the power of the Baxia Dragon King. Not only did they have the intricate patterns of Baxia's body, but also terrifying dragon shadows that made one's heart race. However, these green chains were now humming and vibrating, with cracks barely visible. It seemed they had reached their limit. Meanwhile, the blood-red cloak contained the power of the blood-clad centipede marquis, a malevolent force. Countless dark parasitic insects, resembling ants or carnivorous worms, continuously devoured the sea region's energy and fed it to the cloak. With these creatures transmitting their energy and their constant gnawing on Baxia's body, it seemed inevitable that the Baxia body would be completely destroyed. Once that happened, this Red King would be fully revived. If a Red King tier being were to revive, the devastation it would bring could be catastrophic. This is the goal of our mission. Before he fully recovers, we must destroy him. As the old monk spoke, a golden Buddhist radiance enveloped his body, and ethereal Buddhist sounds began to emanate. This is a relic bead? Xiao Yan murmured, his eyes wide as he stared at the golden bead in the monk's hand, his voice faltering. The golden bead was no larger than a dragon's eye, similar to a pill, but it was inscribed with profound mystical symbols. Sensing it carefully, Xiao Yan could tell that its power was comparable to the holy flame in his hand. A relic bead is the culmination of a Buddhist monk's life's work. Its value is akin to that of a human heart in the mortal realm. Indescribable. The holy flame is a supreme divine artifact born at the beginning of the world. It exerts devastating suppression over the extraterritorial evil clan. With this relic bead, I'll help you permanently eliminate this evil sovereign. The monk's voice was filled with fearless resolve. The relic bead was the essence of a Buddhist monk's life, and once formed, it was certain to result in death. The monk's sense of righteousness stirred something deep within Xiao Yan's heart. There were also rumors that when the celestial Buddha slayed the celestial king, he had journeyed through 9 cycles of reincarnation and created an unparalleled relic bead, ranking first among all Buddhist artifacts in the Buddhist world. Its power was said to rival the top 5 divine artifacts in the mortal realm. Obtaining such a relic would allow one to transcend the mortal realm and enter the Buddhist path, gaining supreme glory. Boom! Xiao Yan nodded firmly. The amber flame around his body suddenly fell away. He understood that every move from here on could cost him his life. But so what? He was the master of the holy flame, and this responsibility was his to bear. There was no way to shirk it. The towering flames ignited in this dark world, lighting it up like a ray of dawn breaking through the darkness. The amber rock soul flame floated in the sky, its dazzling purifying flame leaping rapidly, annihilating the dark parasitic insects in its path. The dark tide surged in, eerie and ominous, colliding with Xiao Yan's and the monk's attacks. The collision sent a tremendous shockwave through the air, with a loud humming sound that filled the heavens. The very space seemed to twist and break under the force. Without the protection of the holy flame, those who were bound by the cycles of reincarnation would have perished instantly. The holy flame, ancient and boundless, continuously unleashed its unique power, purifying this filthy dark domain. Together with the flame mantra's blessing, it radiated a sacred light. The relic bead's golden radiance flared, and countless ancient Buddhist sounds filled the air, merging with the holy flame's power and rapidly consuming the dark forces that had polluted the land. Suddenly, as if sensing the long-absent fluctuations, the Baxia body erupted with a brilliant green light. The 3 powers, holy flame, relic bead, and Baxia, combined, annihilating the parasitic insects in one fell swoop. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Seeing that their combined efforts had gained the upper hand, a rare smile appeared on the faces of Xiao Yin and the old monk. The evil parasitic insects were not as invincible as they had seemed. At that moment, the entire dark domain began to stir. Before they could rejoice at their temporary advantage, their eyes were drawn to the throne on the altar. A powerful blood-colored aura surged, as if a demon was emerging from the depths of hell. Where the blood-colored aura spread, countless rifts tore through the fabric of space, uncontrollably sweeping toward them. The blood-colored windbreaker resembled an empty shell, lacking any solid presence. Yet, it slowly outlined the ethereal figure of a terrifying, sky-reaching evil sovereign. On the windbreaker, a vivid blood-colored centipede began to wriggle. It was this stark contrast that made Xiao Yin realize that the blood-colored windbreaker itself was the most terrifying part. Whoosh! The blood-colored windbreaker stirred, and intricate blood-red patterns began to glow, releasing an aura of bloodlust so oppressive and suffocating it seemed to choke the very air. Attack! Xiao Yin and the others exchanged a glance, and their dazzling assault shot toward the throne like a roaring hurricane. The strength of their attack was so fierce, it could rival the full power of a 3-tier reincarnation stage expert. Thud! Their combined strike didn't cause any disturbance. It dissipated quietly after just forming, a bizarre phenomenon. Boom! As the two stayed on high alert, a massive demonic ray erupted from the bottom of the domain. The power contained within this demonic ray was unlike that of any ordinary dark parasite. It carried the sound of countless wails and mournful cries, whispers that seemed to emotionally affect both Xiao Yin and the others. Whoosh! The demonic ray spread from the bottom of the dark domain, reaching the sky in an instant. It then gently dispersed into droplets of rain, falling down. As this occurred, the sacred flame behind Xiao Yin and the relic bead behind the monk let out sharp growls, clearly struggling to resist such a terrifying attack. The demonic rain nourished the dark domain, and parasites reappeared, but they didn't attack Xiao Yin and the others. Instead, they quietly lay on the side. Meanwhile, the throne atop the altar suddenly began to change. The demonic rain fell, piercing the collapsed void around the throne, and wrapped around the ancient blue chains. Crack! Crack! It was unclear whether the chains had weakened due to the erosion of time or the assault of the demonic rain, but they now showed visible cracks. Above the throne, the blood-colored windbreaker revealed a thin silhouette, faintly discernible. Underneath this slender figure, it seemed as though all power had become laughable. The power contained in that gaunt figure was enough to suppress everything. Senior, strike? Xiao Yan's gaze was indifferent, his amber-colored flames swirling as his bloodlines surged. The first realm of the flame mantra was pushed to its limits, transforming him into a vicious flame tiger, its body blazing with fire, completely different from before. He instantly crossed the dark domain and charged toward the throne. He knew this was one of their few chances, and if wasted, they would surely fall into dire straits. Monk's staff Buddha Ray. The monk raised his palm, firing the staff imbued with supreme Buddha light while gripping a golden relic bead. From an exceptionally tricky angle, he launched a roar toward the ethereal evil figure above the throne. The two attacks were fierce, and even a 3-tier reincarnation peak expert would likely be annihilated. Whoosh! Whoosh! Their strikes arrived one after another, but as they neared the throne's altar, a thick, black demonic shield appeared out of nowhere. Blood-colored centipedes appeared on the shield, moving before their eyes and gradually devouring the attacks. Crack! When Xiao Yin and the monk's fierce attacks collided with the shield, no disturbance was caused. They were easily obliterated, and even where their arms and bodies made contact, thick demonic essence mixed with their bodies, attempting to corrode their minds and control their movements. Holy flame sea of fire! Purify for me! The black demonic liquid touched them, and Xiao Yin felt his scalp tingle as the sensation of death loomed. He roared, and with the power of the flame mantra and several holy flame crystals, he purged the demonic liquid from both himself and the monk. This power is too terrifying. Having failed to land a blow, Xiao Yin and the monk stood silently in the dark domain, their expressions grave. Hee. To receive praise from the master of the holy flame of the great thousand worlds, it's truly a pleasure. Crack. With a sound, the blue chain shattered, and a smiling man fully materialized beneath the blood-colored windbreaker. He laughed heartily. If it weren't for the immense evil power contained within the blood-colored windbreaker behind him, one might mistake him for a regular human. The blood-red light on the throne quickly gathered, spreading like the first rays of dawn. As this energy washed over him, Xiao Yin felt his body freeze, dizziness taking over, as if he was caught in an alternate dimension. The gaunt shadow, cloaked in a blood-colored windbreaker, with a faint blood-colored centipede, appeared even more horrifying. Fourth tier? The monk's eyes turned cold, and he exclaimed in surprise. This person had been merely at the third-tier reincarnation stage 10,000 years ago. A faint voice came from beneath the blood-red cloak on the throne, carrying an immense, overwhelming evil aura and pressure. Under this power, both Xiao Yin and the monk's strength instantly faded. Illusory monk, old adversary, today, I shall use your life's essence to commemorate the arrival of my true self. Bashya Dragon King, after laying your plans for millennia, today, you will ultimately perish beneath my feet. Ha ha ha. The sharp, malicious sound spread, carrying endless killing intent and hatred. Benefactor, the sea of suffering is boundless. Turn back, and you will find shore. Why persist in your bloodshed? The monk's prayer beads spun in his palm as he admonished. Rest assured, today I shall not only kill, but drink your blood. The sharp voice pierced through everyone's mind, causing the two to feel a daze as their inner strength slowed down. After being suppressed for countless years, your malice remains unyielding. Today, the holy flame's master shall end your life here. Xiao Yin sneered indifferently, showing no fear. When he unleashed the holy flame attack, Bashya's scale emitted a faint, scorching aura. This aura resonated with the space around them, clearly something Bashya Dragon King had left behind. He must have anticipated this day and made preparations long ago. Just you? Merely an 8-star Docian in the mid-stage? So what if you control the holy flame? And die. The blood-red cloak hissed, and streams of blood-red energy dripped from it, causing the surrounding void to shatter under its force. The overwhelming blood-red energy surged forward, and with the void shattering, an endless, chilling, malevolent death aura filled the air, making the dark realm grow colder. It seemed as though this dark domain became even more sinister under the emergence of such power. Kill. With a cold grunt, the blood-clad centipede marquis waved his hand, and all the evil forces around them shot towards the two of them. The strength of the attack was overwhelming, leaving no room to resist. Hmph. Flame mantra, first tier, burn the foundation, holy flame wheel, bloom. A deep and resounding voice, like thunder, echoed across the dark realm, creating waves of terrifying force. Boom. The complete success of the first tier of the flame mantra made Xiao Yan's body even more terrifying. His control over the holy flame reached the highest level. Amber-colored holy flame quietly adhered to Xiao Yan's palm. The void collapsed, and rings of amber flame wheels spread out from his wrist. As soon as the flame wheels extended, the parasites of darkness in the air trembled with fear, and even the blood-clad centipede marquis showed surprise in his eyes. Poof! The extreme purifying power within the amber flame wheels erupted relentlessly, and though it was exhausting, it managed to neutralize the terrifying strike of the blood-clad marquis under their watch. Mid 8-star Docian, resisting an attack from the reincarnation stage? Had the two not been holding back, all the credit would have gone to the holy flame. Merely an 8-star Docian in the mid-stage, yet you wield the holy flame with such mastery. It seems you cannot be spared. The blood-clad centipede marquis expression began to twist. Countless blood-red centipedes fell from his cloak, swarming the entire space. Who, senior, if you do not intervene? The holy flame wheel in Xiao Yan's hand dimmed slightly, and he raised his head, his gaze fixed on the throne. His strength was not enough to resist the blood-clad centipede marquis. While the holy flame could make him wary, in a real battle to the death, Xiao would still be at a disadvantage. A perceptive little brat. No wonder you have earned so many holy flames and the affection of someone like my elder brother, a true prodigy of heaven. As Xiao voice fell, the void in the dark realm trembled, and a strange voice stepped forward. The figure was ethereal, but as the voice sounded, countless dark parasites in Baxia's shell instantly fell off, and a green divine light descended, enveloping the entire space. The sound was soul-shaking. The throne's front was where the blood-red cloak rested, but now, behind the throne, a man in a green robe slowly emerged. The man was extraordinarily handsome, exuding an air of unruly arrogance. On his shoulders was a green turtle shell, and the faint pressure released from his brow sent chills down one's spine. A turtle-shaped light seal shone brightly on his forehead. The seal contained ancient fluctuations, and even on the edges, a green dragon shadow emerged, stunning and dazzling. Baxia Dragon King? A figure composed of blue energy stepped forward from the void. With each step, countless parasites and dark energy collapsed and were annihilated without any hesitation or resistance. The blood-clad centipede marquis, the Baxia Dragon King, one of the 9 great dragon kings of the Dragon Clan, was said to possess power comparable to the 6th-tier reincarnation stage, making him invincible. During the First Great War of Heaven and Earth, he defeated countless evil beings. After the battle, the extraterritorial evil clan jointly suppressed him. Only with the help of 2 Red King-level experts did they barely manage to suppress the heavily injured Baxia Dragon King. Countless years passed, and another one of the kings had long since vanished into dust, leaving only the weakest of the 2, the blood-clad Marquis Sovereign. A mere trace of energy. Even if you appear, what difference will it make? Your Baxia body, combined with your source, is truly at the 6th-tier level. But now, when separated, your strength is barely at the 5th tier. Furthermore, your Baxia body has already been severely corroded. It can't even reach the 4th tier. How could you possibly compete with me? Ha ha. The blood-clad centipede marquis spoke coldly. His tone was indifferent, yet the underlying fear and terror made his words sound even more overwhelming. Blood-clad Marquis Sovereign, you are correct. But you underestimate my plan, and the power of the sacred flame controller. The young man dressed in green, who had transformed from the Baxia Dragon King, smiled faintly. His voice was calm, but it caused the evil energy within the blood-clad Marquis to stir uncontrollably. Is that so? Die! Hearing the words of the Baxia Dragon King, the blood-clad Marquis Sovereign suddenly moved. He vanished from his throne in an instant, tearing through the void, and appeared behind Xiao, carrying a killing aura. He struck first, attempting to take Xiao life on the spot. SSS. The terrifying speed caught even Xiao off guard. Cold sweat poured down his back as the amber-colored flames instinctively activated, protecting him. The power of the demon stirred restlessly. Die! The blood-covered palm, lined with red threads, shot forward like the Grim Reaper's grasp, aiming directly at Xiao. The terrifying force behind the attack was the full strength of the blood-clad Marquis Sovereign. Even a regular 4th-tier reincarnation stage expert would likely fall under this power. Blood-clad Marquis Sovereign, you are too naive. As the world-destroying attack reached Xiao, it seemed poised to end his life in an instant, but Xiao expression twisted into an eerie smile. His arm was suddenly covered in an endless array of dazzling blue dragon scales. He raised his arm and grabbed the blood-clad attack, while a cold, menacing smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Are you human or a ghost? Feeling the familiar energy and hearing the voice, the blood-clad Marquis Sovereign instinctively retreated, his mind in disarray. Suddenly, he looked up and saw that the figure of the young man in green had vanished without a trace. I am Baxia, and Baxia is me. Of course, you can also call me a descendant of the Xiao clan. Xiao casually shattered the evil blood energy, then raised his sleeve, but his aura had undergone a complete transformation. Together with the man in green from the dark realm, they disappeared completely. You actually absorbed that trace of power from the Basha Dragon King? At this moment, the blood-clad Marquis Sovereign's expression finally grew serious. Xiao Yan's strength was no longer that of an 8-star Do Xian, but had barely reached the reincarnation stage, second-tier reincarnation stage. The energy from the Basha Dragon King's transformation into the young man in green had been infused into Xiao Yan, temporarily pushing his power to the second-tier reincarnation stage. With 2 second-tier reincarnation stage powers, the presence of Buddhist light, and the blessing of sacred flame, the blood-clad Marquis's face darkened. Blood-clad Marquis Sovereign, I represent the Basha Dragon King, and today I will utterly destroy you. As Xiao Yan spoke, blue dragon scales continuously flowed from his body. An ancient and vast energy surged, making the blood-clad Marquis Sovereign's face turn pale with fear. Behind him, a massive blue turtle shell emanated endless blue light, protecting them both from the dark energy's attack. Xiao Yan raised his palm, and a terrifying aura erupted. It was like a terrifying pressure that could block the sun. Above Xiao Yan's head, the massive and boundless spirit of Basha twisted and coiled. The power contained within it was beyond words. This level of power not only included Xiao Yan's own strength, but also contained an indescribably terrifying force, the Basha Dragon King's power. The combination of 2 powers made the attack seem dazzling and irresistible. It seems I really underestimated you. But if you think you can kill me with such means, try it. Blood Shadow Domain. A blood-red energy erupted, filling the sky and drowning everything in its path. The wails and shrieks of souls reverberated, making it hard to breathe. The Red King level is indeed extraordinary, but this is where it ends. Basha's body awakened. Boom! A deafening sound rang out, and blue divine light flooded the area. The entire space shook violently. As the sound faded, the Basha spirit above Xiao Yan's head trembled, then shot toward the true Basha body at an explosive speed. Even with 2 second-tier reincarnation stage experts working together, they would likely be unable to resist the blood-clad Marquis. The only chance they had was to awaken and control the Basha body completely. After all, the Basha body was the true form of the Basha Dragon King, and the power within it was more than enough to suppress a 4th-tier reincarnation stage blood-clad centipede. The blood-clad centipede Marquis let out a furious roar, and numerous dark energy shadows surged from his body, turning into torrents of evil starlight. These shadows shot toward Basha's soul shadow, attempting to prevent it from crashing into the Basha's body. After absorbing that sliver of power, Xiao Yan's strength became overwhelmingly terrifying. Now, he was using the power of the Basha Dragon King as a conduit, trying to awaken the Basha's body. The Basha's body held terrifying power capable of destroying the world. Back then, it took both of their Red King-level forces to barely imprison the severely injured Basha Dragon King. If the Basha's body fully awakens now, even with his 4-tiered stage power, Xiao Yan would probably be unable to handle it. At this thought, countless harsh sounds emerged from the surrounding dark domain. Black pillars, inscribed with evil patterns, rose from the ground. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Cyan Basha soul shadow trembled, sending a massive cyan curtain, tens of thousands of feet high, crashing down. It unleashed a devastating strike, howling at the countless parasitic worms corroding the Basha's body. Above the soul shadow, the cyan light glowed with an aura of divine majesty, faintly accompanied by the sound of a dragon's low growl. The entire world trembled. Under this force, the dark parasitic worms clinging to the Basha's body subconsciously shrank back, releasing a chilling aura of terror. Swish! Swish! In an instant, numerous dark currents gathered together, falling off the Basha's body and hurrying to fuse with the blood-clad centipede Marquis's blood-colored cloak. Without the parasitic worms devouring it, the Basha's body finally revealed faint traces of cyan light, though some evil aura still lingered on its surface. Boom! Boom! The vast water curtain stirred up massive waves, and amidst the flashes of lightning, the atmosphere grew increasingly violent, unsettling the residents of Yuanhai continent, all eyes instinctively turning toward the oceanic immortal sect. On the previously calm sea surface, countless dark energy streaks and a blinding azure light erupted, as though two monstrous beasts were battling for dominance. Moments later, the two terrifying water columns ended with the victory of the cyan light. The water surface calmed again, but the continent was now swept by ominous winds, dark thunderclouds gathering densely. This terrifying scene hinted at the imminent arrival of some evil entity. Such a dreadful event in the lower realm did not go unnoticed by some of the relaxed powerhouses of the immortal realm. Crack, crack. The void beneath the world had long been sealed and suppressed by the Baxia Dragon King. Yet the terrifying clash still leaked traces of power, sending the entire continent into a state of fear. Damn, just a little more. Within the dark domain created by the Baxia's body, Xiao Yin was in a dire state, a faint trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth. This opponent's strength was too horrifying. No matter how much power he unleashed, the blood-clad centipede Marquis' attacks would always crush his efforts, just as he was on the brink of awakening the Baxia's body. At this rate, he had no chance to awaken the Baxia's body, let alone deal with this Red King-level suppression. And once he failed, the brutal consequences were enough to make even Xiao Yan's heart race, his fists clenching involuntarily. Senior. Xiao Yan let out another cold snort, his pitch-black eyes reigniting with overwhelming battle intent. His body emitted both cyan soul shadows and amber flames. The crisp hum of flames and the ancient sound of a dragon's roar resonated endlessly. On the energy turtle shell that had been attacked by the blood-clad centipede Marquis, massive cyan dragon shadows appeared, merging with the shell. The union of the dragon and turtle resembled a totemic sacred beast, exuding a divine aura. Concentrate. The turtle shell behind him exploded with brilliant cyan radiance, resisting the blood-clad centipede Marquis' terrifying killing intent. Xiao Yan's arm muscles bulged as he worked desperately to awaken the cyan dragon shadow on the energy turtle shell, roaring. Only by awakening the dragon shadow on the energy turtle shell could he fully revive the Baxia's body, which had been asleep and suppressed by corruption. Boom, boom. The thunderous sound of a dragon's roar filled the air, and suddenly all the energy Xiao Yan had cultivated, aided by the energy turtle shell, transformed into a massive Baxia Dragon King, over 1,000 feet tall, in the void. The Baxia Dragon King was unlike any ordinary dragon. Its cyan turtle shell coiled around it, with ancient energies inscribed on its limbs. A sense of disdain radiated from its turtle eyes. Yet, on its limbs, the shell was covered in pieces of cyan dragon scales, and its body radiated an overwhelming coldness, solid and unyielding. Go! Having reached this point, Xiao Yan's lips curved into a slight smile. He then slapped his palm down. The Turtle Dragon King soared into the air, sending sharp bursts of cyan divine light toward the edge of the Baxia's body, charging at it. Under the extreme power of this divine force, the entire dark domain trembled violently, on the verge of shattering. Think you can awaken the Baxia's body? You underestimate me. The blood-clad centipede Marquis' palm surged with energy as a crimson blood seal, several thousand feet long, shot toward the Baxia Dragon King. Roar! The Baxia Dragon King howled as it charged toward the Baxia shell. Faced with the blood-clad centipede Marquis' attack, the Baxia shell expanded, becoming incredibly sturdy. Its eyes glinted with a terrifying aura, exuding contempt. Boom! The two forces collided, and their impact caused a burst of energy ripples to spread out. Not good. The Baxia shell, the blood-clad centipede Marquis stared at the countless green light threads falling around him, and even an ancient, heavy aura began to awaken. His pupils suddenly contracted, and his voice became sharply piercing. You guessed right. Seeing the panicked blood-clad Marquis, Xiao Yan smiled lightly. Then, his body moved and instantly reached the edge, where he gripped the green turtle shell. With that grip, the Baxia shell rapidly shrank, wrapping around Xiao Yan's arm. A powerful force surged forth like a terrifying wave rising from an endless abyss, intense and overwhelming. On the green Baxia shell, dragon shadows appeared. These dragon shadows were entirely blue, and their scales, resembling living creatures, exuded an imposing and terrifying aura. Holy flame separation, arise. Xiao Yin waved his hand, summoning the amber-colored flames. The flames slowly dispersed, forming 5 distinct flames that quietly spread throughout the surrounding area. While the fused holy flame was powerful, it had a chaotic energy. When fighting the extraterritorial evil clan, only by separating the holy flame into its purest elemental forms could it be truly effective in suppressing them. F5 holy flames? Seeing the strange flames swirling around Xiao Yin like 5 flower petals, the blood-clad centipede Marquis's pupils flashed with a chilling dread. His voice trembled. To think that 5 of these incredibly rare holy flames from the great thousand worlds would appear on a mere human boy. With the addition of the Baxia shell's power, the blood-clad centipede Marquis couldn't help but feel fear rise within him. Die, now. Seeing Xiao Yan's terrifying attack, the blood-clad centipede Marquis roared, releasing a blood-curdling aura. Endless power surged forth, aiming to suppress Xiao Yan. Benefactor, the sea of suffering is boundless. Turn back and you will find peace. Put down the slaughtering knife, and you shall become a Buddha. As he spoke, the monk's body ignited in flames, with all the power of reincarnation and golden Buddha light surging, all merging into the relic bead as it shot toward the blood-clad centipede Marquis. Senior's righteousness. Seeing the monk's noble act, Xiao Yin immediately tightened his grip on the energy in his palm. The flame mantra activated, and a strange fire cauldron appeared, controlling the 5 holy flames, continuously feeding them into the Baxia shell. For a moment, the Baxia shell, which had previously been empty, was now filled with the 5 colored holy flames, their intensity growing wildly. As the flames entered the Baxia shell, a long-forgotten aura, infused with the sacred power of the holy flames, spread out, obliterating all the dark parasites that had been lingering there. Blood-clad, devour the heavens. Faced with the monk's self-sacrificial strike, the blood-clad centipede Marquis's body trembled violently. His blood-red cloak roared as his form transformed into a massive evil shadow over 1,000 feet long. It was a blood-red evil centipede, a 100-legged monster. But the evil centipede transformed by the blood-clad Marquis was unlike anything else. As it appeared, the blood sea around it surged, emitting an eerie, sinister vibe, with terrible ripples that could tear anything apart. Crack! The golden relic bead was incredibly powerful, shining like the blazing sun as it rushed toward the evil centipede. But as it approached, the centipede's 100 legs stirred, causing the relic bead's light to rapidly diminish, and a sense of fragmentation followed. Crack! The blood-red centipede shot forth a world-shattering blood ray, striking the golden relic bead directly. The relic bead, like a dim star, vibrated and, with a hum, shattered into pieces. The monk had fallen, but he had bought Xiao Yin enough time. Holy Flame Master, now it's your turn. After dealing with the monk's final strike, the blood-clad centipede Marquis's 100 legs surged, stirring the seal surrounding the oceanic region. The area began to tremble violently, showing signs of breaking apart. Next, let's end this once and for all. Holy Flame, heed my call. Baxia shell, obey my command. Follow me, as I execute the execution of this demon. Though the monk had perished, his spirit was gone. Xiao Yin didn't have time to think. The 5-colored holy flames on the turtle shell grew more intense, merging with the Baxia shell's power. Together, they formed a dazzling turtle-shaped fiery furnace, burning everything in the sea. The divine flames and Baxia shell's blue energy combined, creating a devastating halo of destruction that erupted outward. Boom! Seeing Xiao Yan's terrifying assault, the blood-red centipede let out a long howl, and the void shattered. Within the shell of Baxia's body, at the head and limbs, 5 distinct positions were formed, each corresponding exactly to Xiao Yan's 5 sacred flames. Each of the 5 flames occupied a corner, their surging flames dancing violently, scorching all evil in the world, and finally, forcibly forming the 5 energy points within Baxia's shell. The true form of Baxia, constructed from flame energy, fully awakened. In this fiery tortoise shell, a terrifying power, capable of shaking the heavens and earth, spread out. Crack, crack. No matter how powerful the blood-clad centipede marquee attacks were, they were effortlessly obliterated outside the tortoise-shaped flame furnace. It was clear that, at this moment, the blood-clad centipede marquee chances of victory had become almost non-existent. Trying to run? Seeing the terrifying power of Baxia's true form, Xiao Yan's heart was filled with joy. However, as he turned to see the blood-clad centipede marquee fleeing in all directions, he couldn't help but smile with a long-awaited sense of relief and then laughed. Kid, don't be so arrogant. Once my true self regroups, I'll come back and deal with you. The blood-clad centipede marquee roared and immediately vanished into the dark currents, fleeing deeper into the sea domain. The 5 sacred flames, though originating from different sources, when applied to the evil forces, felt like a red-hot branding iron being pressed onto the skin, sending a shock through the soul. The power of Baxia's shell, when combined with the sacred flames, formed a turtle-shaped furnace, a force so terrifying that it seemed impossible to overcome at this moment. Don't worry, you can't escape. The tortoise-shaped furnace in front of Xiao Yan flared brilliantly once more, its head and feet extending together, unleashing an overwhelming and terrifying power. Buzz, buzz, buzz. With these words, countless azure lights spread out from Baxia's shell, swirling into the air, turning the entire sea domain into a cage once again. Under this power, the blood-clad centipede marquee strength quickly diminished. Baxia, with his escape route blocked, the azure light and the dazzling flames forced the blood-clad centipede marquee to retreat. His mouth twisted into a fierce grin, and his rage exploded. You can't run. Xiao Yan controlled the true form of Baxia, slowly forcing the creature back. The two continued their battle with no intention of letting the blood-clad centipede marquee off. Baxia, Dragon King's power, fall before me once again. In this moment, under the glow of the azure light and sacred flames, Xiao Yan's body seemed to become ethereal, a terrifying form resembling an endless expanse of stars hovering behind him. The tortoise-shaped flame furnace shone brilliantly, its destructive waves barely contained. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Sensing this approaching wave of destruction, the blood-clad centipede marquee snarled viciously, its blood-red mouth roaring, an endless surge of evil energy pouring out, forming an enormous blood pillar, hundreds of feet high, streaking toward Xiao Yan with ferocious power. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The two attacks clashed, but the blood-clad centipede marquee was enveloped by the sacred flames and the Baxia shell, making the space around it freeze. The two forces locked in a stalemate, as neither could break the other for a moment. In the distance, a blue silhouette appeared behind Xiao Yan. After this figure emerged, both figures simultaneously clenched their fists, forming a powerful stance. On the fist, brilliant azure turtle-shaped scales glowed, radiating a faint but destructive wave. Upon closer inspection, a blue dragon shadow appeared on the azure turtle scales. Strangely, it looked identical to Baxia's shell. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Xiao Yan seemed to fall into some mysterious state as the fourth dragon god transformation was instantly activated. His body was partially transformed, radiating dragon-like power. However, in the blink of an eye, Xiao Yan was not only partially transformed but his entire body, both left and right sides, was bathed in azure light. His form became entirely azure, with azure energy flowing through his veins like blood. His skin sprouted azure dragon scales. This power, this fluctuation, was far more powerful than the previous Baxia scale. How is this possible? You can actually control the power of the Baxia Dragon King? A low growl escaped the blood-clad centipede marquee mouth, as countless voids collapsed, and massive shockwaves surged, signaling its extreme unease. Baxia, Dragon God Claw. The azure light illuminated the world, twisting this very space. In the distance, a roar of a dragon could be faintly heard. Countless voids, countless energies, silently bowed down, showing immense reverence and awe towards the figure of Xiao Yin in midair. The power of the Baxia Dragon King. While shocked, the blood-clad centipede marquis showed no mercy. Its entire body grew darker, and it instantly broke free from Baxia's true form's restraint. Small centipedes began to crawl out from its body, wrapping themselves around its many limbs. The horrifying aura emitted twisted the minds of all who were near. From a distance, it looked like a massive black hole, emitting an almost frenzied, evil energy. Clearly, the blood-clad centipede marquis sensed the real death aura emanating from Xiao Yin. Xiao Yin whispered softly, and immediately the power within the entire domain surged violently, with countless chaotic fluctuations emerging. The scales of the blue dragon on Xiao Yan's body contained a terrifying power, making him appear exceptionally ferocious. His fists, each bearing a turtle-shaped shell, contained overwhelming offensive force. A blue dragon shadow slithered out. Boom, boom, boom. His fists opened, instantly forming a massive blue claw. As the blue claw descended, the void shattered, and it collided with the blood-colored centipede. A destructive energy ripple surged, with blood-red and blue light clashing like two meteors, causing a catastrophic explosion. The terrifying force, enough to obliterate everything, tore the entire sea domain apart. Tens of thousands of towering waves ripped through the void, and the entire sea area was turned into chaos, utterly disordered. Whoosh, whoosh. No matter how mighty the attack, it failed to harm Xiao Yin in any way. The blue Baxia shell, enhanced by the holy flame, protected every inch of his skin. It's over. Xiao Yin gritted his teeth as the blue dragon god claw howled out, crossing over the blood-colored centipede's most powerful strike. The immense power of the Baxia Dragon King's claw silently strangled the blood-colored centipede. With the combined strength of the holy flame and the Baxia Dragon King, this creature left no power behind and was completely crushed by Xiao Yin here. It's finally over. After strangling the blood-colored centipede, Xiao Yin then erased all the remaining evil creatures beneath the 10,000-meter space of the sea domain. A smile of relief appeared on his face.